Hello everyone, and welcome to my 4th sketchbook tour. This sketchbook is not entirely full yet, but it is full enough that I felt I have a lot to talk about. So here is the new tour. If you'd like to see my previous tours, I'll put links in the description box below, and let's get started. So this owl, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I've started to use some reference images that aren't ones I've taken myself. So this is from a copyright-free image book filled with black and white drawings of animals. And so I saw this owl, I think it's actually a full owl in the book, and I just thought his face was so amazing. And I changed the expression a bit. I made it a little more coy, a little more romantic, added some pink. So I am happy with this one, how it turned out. It was more a cartoon experimentation than perhaps a realism piece. Here I wanted to go for way more realistic. I should credit these reference images of the greyhounds are from my siblings-in-law who took them of their dogs. And so this is beautiful greyhound, the newest addition of the family, who I should admit I have not actually met personally yet. But I know I'll meet this dog soon, so I feel okay to share this dog-in-law as one that I have met or will meet or know. So this is the exact expression as it was in the reference image, and it was such a great shot, and I wanted to really capture the eyes and get a little of that face. They have such a distinctive face, greyhounds, and I really felt that this greyhound in particular looks so soulful. I got the highlights in with my white gel pen. So I spent a while working on this one because I really wanted to capture the whole persona of greyhounds and their very loving nature. Because my relatives have rescued 3 greyhounds, which you'll see all 3 here. This was based on a reference photo taken by my other sibling-in-law who had all 3 dogs in the hallway, and I just, from the way they were standing, I couldn't help but picture them with little capes. Let me see if I can back the camera up a little bit so we can see their full bodies. They were all standing there, and so I used the patterns from their collars to turn them into capes as little superhero greyhounds, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. You know, I just wanted it to be fun and kind of whimsical. And so this is the bottom one, the one on the right. This was the one that I drew the close-up of the face, and then another one. So those are the greyhounds. This you may recognize from my How to Draw a Fox Without Tracing video. You can see how much smaller this image is than my usual drawings. I chose something much smaller even though because I was using real time, and this took like 40 minutes to draw. It made it become a little more cartoonish since it's very hard to do very fine, tiny details with my pencils on this paper, or at least I found that very difficult. And this was the circle I used for my joke at the beginning. I did want to save the rest of it blank because I thought maybe I could use it to test out new media and different things, so I saved the rest of it for that. Here is a cat. It was one of the first things I drew from the royalty-free stock images. I'm trying to get it out of the shadow here. The shadow keeps moving, so here we go. This cat I thought was very, very striking with its blue eyes and just its whole expression. The image actually was a full cat and also some like Christmas ornaments, but my main interest was the cat's face, and so that was what I focused on here. And in the past I've had difficulty drawing cat faces, so I really wanted to work on that here. So that was what I did. Kind of wondering if I'm going to need to move the camera again because of the shadow. This is actually one of the first times I've tried filming during actual sunlight and not using my bright lamp. So I really want to take advantage of the sunlight while I have it. So yes, this is the cat with the blue eyes that I thought was so striking, and I wanted to really focus on the tiny details of the fur and just try to make the eyes as alive as possible. The cat had a very still facial expression, and so it almost makes it look a little bit inanimate, and I'm not quite sure how I could have counterbalanced that, but I did my best. And again, I used white gel pen for the highlights of white, and so I am pretty pleased with how the cat came out. Next is another one from the royalty free stock photo series. It was this very cute duck. I think I need to zoom back a little bit. Yeah, it was a very fluffy looking duck that actually, interestingly, had sun coming from behind it, which made it sort of glow, which the sun is kind of making it do here with the white highlights. I thought it was just very sweet. It was one of my favorite ones to draw because I loved the texture and how fluffy it was. And yeah, I thought it was just a very sweet little duck. Now, I've forever been looking at those like hyper-realism images, and spoons are always one of the most impressive ones to me. I haven't drawn metal very often, and I really wanted to try it, and I wanted to focus more on adding shadows. So I got a stock image of, I don't know, it was a plate of food that looked actually a bit disgusting, but I got it all because it had a very shiny spoon next to it. So I drew the spoon and the particular shadow that was in that picture as well. When I first did this, I had a little bit of an error where I overdrew the shadow here and made it a little too dark. I've tried to lighten it. I hope that's made it a little more realistic. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to draw. This was another one of the stock images where these mushrooms. I took some liberties with the colors, and to make it stand out more on the paper, since the mushrooms themselves are so brown, I added gray in the background, which I will credit my husband for suggesting, and I think it was a great idea. And so here I also focused on adding shadow to the mushrooms, and I tried to add little dotted details that were there, and just playing with color. That was a lot of fun. Now this one, I have a video up, the first in the Animals I Don't Know Personally series. So this is a cat I don't know, but it is from the stock photo series, and I just thought this cat was so striking because it had these fiery eyes with green and red and orange, and it matched the colors of the background and the leaf on its head. I am a little concerned that the leaf came out a little bit too much like a potato chip, and by the end of the video, I think I spent 2 or 3 hours drawing this cat. It wasn't until then that I realized that the proportions of the eyes were a little too far apart and the nose was a little too long for the particular cat I was drawing. But by then I did not feel like changing it. But it's a good thing to remember for the future. I still think it looks like a really cool cat, and it's pretty fluffy. And I feel like I'm improving on cats in general. I love drawing birds, I've discovered, and this was a parrot that was in the stock photo series that I got from that free trial, and I just thought it was beautiful. The eye of mine came out a little more cross than I was hoping, like a little more angry, and so I'll have to try to counterbalance that maybe in the future, or focus a little more, because the other parrot looked a little friendlier. But even that, I like the intensity of it. I think it kind of matches the fiery color of the parrot itself. Again, I wanted to work on metal. This was actually from a reference photo I took myself. It's from a teapot that my grandmother owns, and I believe it's made of tin. And I just thought the shape of it was very, very beautiful, and I liked the way the light was hitting it and the shadow was. So I spent my evening drawing it. I liked especially the blue highlights that came out of the metal. I probably skewed this shape a little bit. I do get kind of impatient with checking exact proportions and the like, but I think it is pretty close to what it actually looks like, and so that was fun to do as an experiment. I do want to do more teapots, I think. This was another item that belongs to my grandmother. It's a little gravy boat, possibly also made of tin. And I just like the little details of it. It had a slightly more goldish sheen, and it was placed on some kind of blue velvety fabric. I found that very hard to duplicate, so I mean, it's basically just shows as a blue ground space, but it was velvety. In the future, I do hope I can work more on details like that. And this parrot is from the Animals I Don't Know Personally series. You can watch the video where I draw it. I just thought it was a very sweet looking parrot, you know. It really charmed me, and so I wanted to draw it, and it was a lot of fun to do. The colors are so bright. I did not focus as much on the details of the feet or the branch because I really wanted the focus to be the head and the body. But if I were to work on this more, I would definitely do more details on the feet and toes and the branches. These pears are new. I do love drawing food, especially roundish, kind of maybe even a little lumpy food. And I thought the colors of these two pears were so striking. They were also from a stock image of some other fruit, but I was mostly just looking at the pears because I thought the pears were so beautiful. This is in my Society 6 shop and also my Redbubble shop if you want it on a mug or on a kitchen clock or pillow or something, or spiral notebook. But yeah, I really love these two pairs. I was very happy with the sheen of the highlights that happened with them and the color contrast. So I was pleased with those. I was less pleased with the results of my blueberry. I was going off a photo reference, but for some reason, finding a way to make this blueberry look like a true blueberry and not a mix of colors was much more difficult than I was expecting. This is the shadow part on the bottom. Maybe if I brought in the white gel pen to really bring out the highlights to distinguish it from the rest, might give it a little more definition and shape. I'm not sure. I do hope I can do a better one in the future. Here is a cupcake from my Desserts I Haven't Met series, which I made because there's a lot of food and desserts that I found in that stock photo group that look delicious, and I want to draw them, but I didn't bake them, or I didn't actually eat them or take the picture of them, so that's why I like to distinguish them as desserts I haven't met. But this one looks so good, and it was for St. Patrick's Day. I was most interested in the shamrock on top and how it looked kind of glassy because it was a piece of hard-boiled candy, and I hope I did a good job of demonstrating that in the picture, the sheen and the translucence. Because really that translucence is what draws me to hard candy like that, and so I really wanted to capture it. The smoothness of the frosting and then the crumpliness of the packaging, I thought that was cool too. It looked like it was probably a red velvet cupcake, but I can't be entirely sure. I'm not exactly certain what the white frosting is, how it's different than the green frosting other than color, because the texture seems a little different. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to study and draw. I really like doing food, which is another reason I tried this turnip, which I took from a reference photo at my local supermarket. I just think turnips are gorgeous, and I will credit the artist Kendall Hillegas drew like a trio of the most beautiful turnips I have ever seen. I mean, all of her work is beautiful, but especially these turnips. I really love them and admire them, and I was very sad that my turnip did not quite get anywhere near that level of turnip beauty, but this was my attempt, and perhaps I will try again. There's so many beautiful vegetables and fruits in the supermarket. And coming along with that is this strawberry. I did not actually take the picture myself. It was from a stock photo, and, you know, of many different fruits. And this one strawberry, the way the light was hitting it, the way the leaves were positioned, I thought was very striking. So I thought I would give it a chance, and I really focused on the really bright whites with the white gel pen. I had a little difficulty trying to find a medium white. In some cases, I actually used colored pencil over white gel pen on the left side, and then I really tried to enhance the shadows and emphasize the circly, curvy shapes in it. Ultimately, I'm happy with the results. I'll probably try to do better ones in the future, but I think overall it was a good first attempt at a strawberry, and I love strawberries, so it definitely made me want to eat them. This is a fish from the stock photo series. I'm trying to adjust the lighting again. The sun keeps moving. At this point, it's seeming more like being out of direct sunlight is what gets a better shot. So here we are with the fish. It was a living fish underwater, so it's not like a chopped head or anything. The fact that it ends here was just that there was something in the photo that didn't show me the rest of the fish. So I kind of like imagining that it's turning towards me. And the eye was the most interesting part to me. The one in the photo kind of has a metallic, glistening, glowy look to it. So I did my best to mimic it. I worked very hard on it. I'm still not quite sure I was able to duplicate it in the way I hoped, but I did that, and I did a lot of texture on the fish to try to get some of the scaliness and just the general movement. I thought that was a cool one to draw. I have a few other fish I may do for my Animals I Don't Know series. This is another animal I don't know personally. It is a rooster, and it was just the head in the image of the photo, so I didn't crop it more than it already was cropped in the photo, but I thought it had a very regal expression, and I wanted to duplicate that. I used the white highlights, and this one was actually pretty quick. I just kind of drew it very fast, and even in just white, its features were so distinctive because its shapes are so unusual. This one felt very easy to do in that way, whereas this little pumpkin was much harder for me to do. I think it's the irregularity of the shapes, and I kept worrying that this didn't look natural, even though that is the way it looks. And I was afraid the highlights weren't quite happening, so I really focused on the white highlights and where the sun was hitting it and where the shadow was. I think emphasizing the shadow on the bottom and adding a little more black just around the pumpkin made the features come out a little better, and so I was proud of that. I believe that is the last of the sketchbook so far, so thank you for sitting through my tour of this sketchbook. And the rooster thanks you, and so does the fish, and this little strawberry, and my little turnip, and cupcake, and the blueberry, which hopefully I can improve, and the pair of pears, and the parrot I don't know personally, and this gravy boat, and this teapot, and this parrot, and this cat, and these mushrooms, and this spoon, and this duck, and finally this cat. Let's end on this cat. Also, thanks you for watching this video. So if you like it, please give a thumbs up so I know to make more videos like that. If you have a favorite image, please let me know. If you know what kind of animals you'd like to see me draw more often, please tell me. And don't forget to subscribe and check out my shops on Society6/Sloth and my Redbubble shop. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful evening or day. Bye.